We're talking now to Akina Adderley. Akina, could you tell me a bit about the Vintage Playboys?
Sure. Akina Adderley and the Vintage Playboys is my big soul band. It's an 8-piece with horns, and we do high energy shows. I like to describe our music as soul with a dash of rock and roll and a smattering of funk. And we've been around for about 9 years, I think. And this is our 9th South by, I believe. And a few of the members of the band are among the original members from way, way back in the day. And yeah, we have a great time.
I understand that you went to the LaGuardia High School of Performing Arts, aka the Fame School.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was as crazy as one might imagine. Crazy meaning, you know, did I sing in the halls? Totally. Did I stand on chairs and tables sometimes in the lunchroom and sing? Absolutely. Now, we also did normal things like math and language arts and science and history. We totally did all of those things, but half the day was spent on our major. I was actually a drama major, so I studied Shakespeare and Moliere and you know, August Wilson and all kinds of stuff.
You come from like a family with this very rich musical background. With your great uncle was Cannonball Adderley. Your father and your grandfather were musicians.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you become aware that you had this pedigree?
I don't know. I kind of guess it was just always an ever-present thing. You know, I was always around it. I saw my grandfather perform it numerous times. My sister and I went to Europe with him on tour when I was 10. It was awesome. It was, you know, my sister, my grandmother, and I, and a, you know, jazz band touring Germany and the Netherlands and France and stuff. It was awesome. And I, you know, went to see my father play with Luther Vandross. I don't know, probably a couple of hundred times. And so it just was the way that normal people have recurrent experiences with their parents' lines of work. I just sort of continually was surrounded by music in one way or another.
I hope you don't mind my asking. I mean, did you ever meet Luther Vandross personally?
Sure. Many times. Yeah, there's a really sweet picture of him in my house. I was 1 year old and he's holding me and I'm just crying and crying. But yeah, he was like an uncle, and yeah, he was a sweetheart. When I had just graduated from college, he at a show that summer announced it to the audience and gave me a sweet necklace, and yeah, he was a good friend of the family.
At what point did you decide to gravitate from drama to music?
Well, actually, I never really diverged on one path or the other. I was kind of always doing both. Ever since I was in, I guess, middle school, I you know, took voice lessons and sang in the choir, but I also did all the plays and all that sort of stuff. And then in high school, when I had to have a major at school, I actually requested to have a dual major, and they wouldn't allow me to do that. So I selected drama at LaGuardia, and then I studied opera on the weekends at Manhattan School of Music. So I kind of was always doing both. In college, I did both. And after college, I a little bit did both for a while, and then it wasn't until a few years after college that I sort of stopped auditioning for plays and stuff like that in New York and just focused on music.
What sort of skills did you learn doing drama that can transfer over to being a singer?
Lots, I think. Just the confidence and stage presence and the, you know, communicating a song beyond what is just in the melody and in the text, you know, communicating a song as if it's like a monologue again, as if the lyrics are from the perspective of a character of sorts. I think that's all stuff that I learned at LaGuardia.
I'm wondering how your family felt about you pursuing a career as a musician. Did they give you any advice?
Yeah, in fact, you know, I like to say that, you know, people with normal upbringings and parents who are like lawyers and doctors and normal jobs, it's quite common for those kids to go into the family business as well. And if, those kids probably, I assume, are often dissuaded from becoming artists, whereas in my family I was quite heavily persuaded to pursue my art. And for a while I took a little hiatus there for a little bit, and I kind of just wasn't doing anything artistic. And my parents were both really encouraging me to sing and to perform. And my dad in particular, before I started writing songs, I was a poet in high school. I wrote a lot of poetry, and I sang, and I never, in high school, I didn't merge the two, and my dad just always was encouraging me to explore, trying to merge my poetry with my understanding of music, and with my understanding of theory, and with my love of singing. So when I finally did, I think they both were kind of relieved and happy,
I interviewed Charlie Faye yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was great, really well, and you're involved with the Fayettes. How did that? And can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I knew of Charlie just in the scene. Austin is a very tight-knit, collaborative, supportive community of artists, and so I had seen her back in the Momo's days. Momo's was a club that we all dearly loved that closed some years ago, but I saw her and she saw me, and we knew of each other, but we'd never met officially. And I saw a post on Facebook where she described her aspirations for this project, Charlie Faye and the Fayettes, as this sort of modern day girl group, and it just sounded fun and interesting and original. Or at least new for right now. No one else was doing anything like that right now that I had heard of. So I just emailed her on Facebook and said, "This project sounds awesome. Let me know if you ever need another Fayette." And she called me, and we got together. Betty Sue, myself, and Charlie got together at Charlie's house just to sing through some stuff, and it just really kind of clicked. So that was it.
I mentioned this to Charlie. It seems as though the girl groups don't quite get the respect that they deserve, and it's also not even like the backup singers like Darlene Love. It took decades for them to really get, recognized for their contributions.
That's true, and I think because of that movie, what was it called?
50 Feet from Stardom?
Yes.
20 Feet from Stardom.
50, 20? One of those numbers of feet. I think partly because of that movie, people are starting to be aware of the contributions of backup singers and things like that. And also with our group in particular, it's, first of all, Betty Sue and I were known first as band leaders and vocalists and songwriters ourselves, so that, brings an automatic level, at least anyway, locally for people who know us, it brings an automatic level of awareness that we are musicians and that we, work hard and know our stuff. But also, Betty Sue plays keyboards in the band, and I play percussion, and sometimes help lead the band a little bit, only because I can't help myself as a band leader. I just am always cueing. So I think that is, how we present ourselves, I think hopefully will help in a small way continue showing people, the importance of good, strong, solid, intelligent backup singers.
And also harmonizing too is kind of underrated.
I agree. Not everybody can do it, and it's something that we love, and it's super fun. And in addition to us being good at it or whatever, I feel like our voices blend well together, which is not everybody blends well. Not everyone's voices are complementary. So that's really nice that the three of us, Charlie and Betty and I, that our voices seem to be complementary.
One thing I noticed with your work with the Vintage Plays Boys, it has a definite 70s feel. Are you a fan of that era of music?
Yeah, and it's funny, I don't remember listening to that music any more than other stuff when I was a kid, or that my dad listens to that any more than other stuff. I don't even really know how or why this particular genre of music is what I ended up doing with this project. It's a genre that I love, the sort of 60s, 70s soul funk. I deeply love it, but I don't know, it just was just what came out. And in particular, since it's that, but it's also modern, and it's also rock infused, and it's also, affected by the styles of the musicians who are in the group. The keyboard player is a jazz musician, so there's a jazz feel to some stuff. And the guitarist, who's been with me the longest, he's a rock musician, so that's where that rock element comes from. And the bass player really loves funk. He really loves Parliament Funkadelic and George Porter and things like that. So that brings that in there. I don't know. It's really fun, and it just was sort of fortuitous, I think.
I'm wondering, you moved from New York City to Austin. What brought that about?
Well, actually, I moved from New York City to LA and then to Austin. I lived in LA for 2.5 years, and it's just a hard place to live. I didn't feel that the music community was very supportive or collaborative. I felt that I also didn't like being in the car for like 2 hours minimum every single day of my life in traffic. I did not like that. And I met my husband there about a month after I moved there, and he had just moved there as well. And after a couple of years, we were both like, okay, let's try somewhere else. And Austin was on the short list. We both love music, and I had visited here once for Austin City Limits and really loved it and had a great time. And had a little community here just because of a friend of mine from New York who grew up here and introduced me to her friends when I was here. And he had visited Austin many times. So yeah, it was frankly one of the most reckless things I've ever done. I usually like to plan and like make lists and pros and cons and things like that, but I don't know, we just talked about it for a little while and talked about the music scene and the opportunities, and just kind of gave it a try. We got in a U-Haul.
One last question. What advice would you give to young musicians starting out?
I've been thinking about this a lot recently, actually, because I teach right over here at the Griffin School, and I teach high schoolers, and I have a handful of students who I know want to go into music. So it's been really interesting trying to help them get to the next step. And I would like to tell musicians who are young and wanting to do this professionally to, number one, learn everything they can, and that can mean anything. That can mean go get a degree. That can mean starting to play in bands when you're real young, when you're in high school, and just starting to rehearse with other individuals and perform in front of people. Start that young, start practicing that young. But I would say learn everything you can and have as many experiences as you can, so that when you are trying to do this really sort of for real professionally, you have a lot to bring to the table. Because it's great to work with musicians who know what they're doing and who have developed some skills and who have some experiences that they can bring to bear when they are working with a group of musicians and rehearsing and polishing music and presenting it to an audience.